Hello and welcome to the Clyde FC podcast brought to you by A State of Mind. I am Paul Shanks, and with me tonight to look back on some actual football involving Clyde Football Club for the first time in 3 months, I have John Boyce and Craig Black. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing fine, mate. Doing fine, you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I'm good, Craig, thank you. So there's a lot to cover tonight. Couple of matches to look back on, and at least 3 games next week that we'll cover. These 3 games taking place over the period of 5 days. So we'll come to that much later in the show. But as we have mentioned, we did play our first league game in, as we said, 3 months. And it wasn't a happy return to action, was it, gentlemen? We'll start with yourself, Craig. What was your overall thoughts on last week before we dissect it?
I think it was so disappointing because everybody has been waiting for it and looking forward to it for so long, and then we just didn't seem to turn up. You know, the first half for me, it was, as I said to you guys, it seemed to be 2 teams just trading punches without actually landing a glove on each other until East Fife got the chance and took it. But it was poor. It was poor.
Boyce, what about yourself?
Yeah, it was a poor start. The same kind of things that we've seen throughout the season when it's been stop-start. But yeah, just looking to move forward from it, and hopefully it was just a blip and the players looking to get going again. But
so we'll just start talking about the Keith game now?
No.
Just forget that one.
No, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, Craig. You've got to cover the bad with the good, sadly. If it was this season, we probably wouldn't have a lot to talk about to this point, so it would be a much quicker podcast. We will. For every positive and negative, we'll try and find a positive.
Definitely.
We'll leave that at your door. So, on the actual starting 11, I think there was, we touched upon it last week. We weren't quite sure how many of the new guys would make the starting 11. Turned out half of them did, or 3 out of the 5 at that point. We handed debuts to Jack Thompson, Lewis Jamieson and Michael McGlinchey. Lewis Jamieson coming in for the injured Ali Love, and Michael McGlinchey coming into the midfield alongside Jack Thompson. How did you think the new guys fared, Boyce?
Yeah, I thought they looked good. First of all, you know, if anyone's in the comments, please feel free to put your kind of thoughts and views over. Tonight's obviously more of a discussion. We don't have a guest on, so yeah, please get involved and, you know, have your say. On the signings, making their debuts, I thought McGlinchey looked quite neat. Obviously, we're looking for his experience as well. Now, that'll probably tell over the next few weeks or months. I thought he looked good. Jack Thompson and Lewis Jamieson probably didn't, you know, set the head alight in the first game. For me, I'd be looking to see a wee bit more from them. And you had mentioned that Ali Love didn't quite make the start. Did we miss his enthusiasm down the left-hand side? I think so. Craig, what about yourself?
No, I totally agree. I thought McGlinchey does look very capable. He's clearly a good player. A lot of experience. He's low centre of gravity, and I thought he done really well for his first game. Probably fitness might have been an issue, hence he gets subbed later on, but I thought he looks good. He looks the part. Thompson, again, early doors, he gave the ball away quite a wee bit. Maybe just a couple of mistakes, maybe nerves. After that, he seemed to come into it a bit more, and he's certainly a presence. But I thought he done all right. Lewis at the left, I thought he looked a bit lost to kick off with. Tried to beat his man and wasn't really getting past him. And Goody, having him next to him, Goody's quite unforgiving. You know, so if a ball's not going in or a pass isn't getting made, geez, well, let him know about it. You know, so good enough character for Lewis to keep going and keep trying to find the passes and whatever. And I thought he'd get better as the game went on, but it was a bit of men v boys at times, I thought.
Yeah, do you think that's maybe a bit of the match fitness aspect as well? You know, we'll maybe we do have a big run of games, so hopefully the match fitness should be, 100%.
I've sort of heard Boyce. I've heard about that.
I think so.
A few games coming up, I think.
I was going to say before you move on, Paul, I thought it was quite a strange game. You know, East Fife and Clyde they matched each other at times, but that clinical edge from the three danger men that we'll probably highlight before the game, we gave them the room, and I mean they've punished us. What can you say, really?
Yeah, kind of things and notes that I took from the first half in particular, the early exchanges were extremely scrappy from both.
Very much.
I do think East Fife settled much quicker than we did. I think probably by 10, 15 minutes in, they'd taken a stronger foothold in the game, but without really creating anything. Mitch was untroubled, really, probably for the whole of the half, bar the actual goal itself. It just, yeah, we were defending well enough as well at this point. Building up to the goal, we seemed to just kind of find our own kind of footing in the match about the 30-minute mark without, again, really threatening. The final third just wasn't really clicking for us, was it, Craig?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there was a lot of as Danny said after the game, the final ball, or the decision making for the final ball in the final third wasn't great. But we didn't look threatened. But East Fife didn't look threatened either, and that's the kind of worrying thing for me. I thought we'd have a bit more penetration and a bit more steely attack. We just couldn't seem to get Goody into the game. Just couldn't seem to get a ball to him. And but again, they're an experienced defence that we were up against. I mean, Higgins he must be about 58 now. So he played a cracking game for them. I was so gutted. It was brilliant to be put aside, and I know I'm very fortunate to be there. It was you want a goal, you want a second goal, you want a win, but that wasn't to be.
No. I would have probably been happy enough if it went to half time 0-0. I think it was probably a relatively fair reflection on how the first half panned out. Unfortunately, we were to concede around the 41-minute mark. Nathan Austin, who has been banging in goals now for a good number of years at various levels in Scotland, with Inverness Cali, Thistle, and most recently at Kelty Hearts. The goal itself, I think, I'm not quite sure who it was. I think maybe Tom or Craig Howie had came out to meet a ball coming through, just left a bit of space. The pass was threaded expertly through for Austin to run through and slot past Mitch. Not probably a lot we could do about it. If you want to be overcritical, we were one player out of position, but could easily nick the ball away and start a counter-attack. Did you feel that we could have done more with that goal, boys, or were you just kind of hands up, they punished?
Yeah, I mean, just touching on what Craig said about the final ball as well, we're at the level now where we do get punished on both sides. If we don't have a good final ball, it's not going to go anywhere. And if we make one slight error or mistake, it's going to cost us. I think again it comes down to the first game back. There was maybe an eagerness for whoever it was that came out, as you mentioned, maybe Tom or maybe Craig, an eagerness to come out and meet the ball, and that's let Nathan Austin slip round the back. We said it last week. It's a very shrewd signing from East Fife. He's going to be there for 4 or 5 games, and I just wish we had kind of looked at that as well from the lower leagues with the experienced boys. But hey, we've got what we've got, and we'll get behind the boys, and hopefully they'll be all right. But yeah, in answer to your question, I think we could have maybe dealt with it a bit better, but you go one goal down just before half time, it's a bit of a sickener.
I think the first goal in that game was really going to be important, and especially with the time it's taken us to get back to football, and then it was later on in the half, so you've been 35-40 minutes, still nothing each. You're hoping you're going to get a goal anyway, but you're hoping you're not going to concede, and that gave them that bit of momentum and confidence going in, and it did give us a bit of sucker punch, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think given the recent frailties, the frailties earlier in the season before it was curtailed, at home in particular, did eventually come to light. But up until half time, things were looking, dare I say it, encouraging in how we were defending, keeping Nathan Austin quiet and keeping some pretty decent players quiet that can supply Nathan Austin. The second half started. we did have what I feel was quite a strong case for a penalty kick. Craig, I know you were very vocal on this after the match. Dare I say it?
Match too.
The referee may have heard a select choice word from you.
I can't get my head around how he's not. He's close enough. I could hear the contact. Both contacts.
At least two, yeah.
Both contacts. Yeah. And Goody, fair enough. He's wanting to score. You know what he's like. He's just wanting to score a goal. If he even lost his balance a fraction enough to go down, it's a penalty. It was a penalty anyway. I can't believe he'd ever gave it. And at that moment, you're 1-0 down. That changes the momentum. Absolutely changes the momentum and the confidence in the whole team. And you could see Goody, you see his reaction. He was going off his nut. Yeah. Absolutely going off his nut, and rightly so. It's a penalty.
Yeah, Boise, was he too honest in this for you? Should he have maybe went down? Or is it a case of it's still a foul, you shouldn't need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Craig's probably get the best view of this being pitch side. Craig, I thought you'd been warned about shouting at refs before.
Aye. I know.
That's why he wears a snoot to matches. It's not COVID. It's just so he can hide his identity.
Aye.
But no, I think, you know, if the contact's been held, Goody's maybe, you know, just been a bit too honest and not went down and, you know.
I think he's just been too determined to try and score.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, he's just wanting to score all the time. So you would like to think that the officials would back him in that. But
I think so, and I think
they might have missed something. But
I think that's where a good quality referee takes a common sense approach, or even the right approach. And yep, it's a foul. It's a foul. Shots away. It's a missed. Bring it back for the penalty. You know. Yeah.
Would not disagree with it. So yeah, we were right to, in all of our opinions, and I would highly doubt many Clyde fans are going to disagree with it, to feel aggrieved that we didn't have the opportunity to level the scores. That said, after that, things went a bit south and relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. John Anderson pretty much takes us to the next point on the second goal, saying it was very frustrating against East Fife. The first thing that Danny addressed when he came to the club was our weakness in defence. That seems to be our Achilles heel once again. Defending from set pieces is dreadful. And that last sentence was pretty much the perfect description for the second goal scored by Danny Denham. Boise, if you had hair, would you have been tearing it out?
I mean, I've got hair, Paul. Thanks for that.
We'll no comment on that.
We're getting on. Yeah, like as I mentioned before, Austin, Denham, and Wallace. You know, if you looked at their lineup before the game, maybe add Scott Agnew in on that as well. That's your key danger men. That's the men that you're wanting to mark, you're wanting to look out for. As John's mentioned, Danny addressed that our defence was the weakness, and it's just really disappointing, you know, from my standpoint, to see those danger men have time and space to be able to, you know, pick their spot. I don't know. Do you guys know what we play at the moment? Like zonal or man marking? I can't really tell from watching it, but I think
it's zonal.
It's zonal, yeah.
I think so. I think Danny has previously, I might have said zonal in an interview some time ago. Can't remember how long ago. If anyone does know in the comments, please tell us.
Yeah,
we're not the most tactically minded on this podcast.
No. Well, certainly not from your all-time 11, Paul. I think we can all...
No, I think I made that abundantly clear, didn't I?
But yeah, possibly something to look at. You know, obviously Danny's got much more experience than me. But yeah, I just think we need to look at it. I mean, it's something that we should have addressed a long time ago, and we should see getting better. But can we put it down to, you know, just being the first game of the season, or is it going to be a much bigger issue in this big week ahead?
I think the problem that we've got is that it's already been quite a highlighted problem this season in particular. Yeah. The cross balls, it has you on the edge of your seat, not for the right reason. You do worry. Craig, with regards to the actual free header, it's probably one of these unforgivable sins in football, isn't it? A corner kick into anywhere in the 18-yard box should really be contested, and it just wasn't.
Well, it's an individual battle. If you lose that one-on-one battle, you've gave them that chance, and you think to yourself, well, you've got Tom Lang, physical guy, Craig Howie, physical guy, right in the middle of that pitch, and you're thinking, well, nah, these guys will, and they will go for it, but it's just I don't know. I really don't know. It's just not there, you know.
Yeah, I think as well. Like you've got the big physical guys as you mentioned, but starting thinking now, is the communication there? Is the positioning there? You know, you've got to start looking at these things. For me, like we joke about it. Like I love Scott Rumsby, but he's a communicator. He shouts. Danny said before that he brings the best out of other players around him. I think we've got to get him in there. And for me, I think Howie and him looked really good. And we'll move on to the Keith game, but I thought they were a really good partnership together.
I mean, the thing is, John Anderson.
It's a clean sheet.
But John Anderson's right. When Danny first came, it made us very, very difficult to beat. I think we drew, I don't know how many games in a row, 4 or 5 games in a row.
Was it 5 goals?
5-0
Yeah,
or something
5-0
like
in a row, yeah.
I'd take that now, boys.
I know it stopped us getting beat, you know, and then we progressed into winning, you know, starting to turn those losses into draws, into wins. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and criticise the boys because they're all giving everything they've got and they're all determined to make it better. But we're just a wee bit worried, guys. That's all.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. It's just like a few wee tweaks. Like not absolutely not criticising anyone's work ethic or that. It's just maybe a few things possibly not working that we might need to look at.
The thing is, they're all going to get lots of game time. They're all going to get game time because of I think we've got about 10 games in a month. So they will have to mix it up. So
I think it's 10 games next week, Craig, but we'll move on to that later in the show.
It grows every week.
Yeah. The third goal shortly after, a similar story, sadly, a cross in from the right. Relatively unchallenged header into the far corner of the post. It was pretty much game over then, wasn't it, Boycey? It was.
Yeah,
that was it.
There's not really 3-0 at home with half an hour, 20 minutes to go. It's not looking good, is it? Just you could see after that the heads kind of went down, and I don't think I blame them. You know, it's a big upfield battle. East Fife, you know, when they got that second goal, they just looked comfortable, and obviously chasing the game, they can just take the sting out of it and put some more men back, which they did. So yeah, bit of a gutter.
Now, the good thing, some good news in it that Craig was able to get a goodie celebration on camera, as we did have a late flurry of chances. We put a wee bit of pressure on, a little bit, obviously too late. The horse had very much bolted by that point. Goodie took his goal in the 90th minute with his usual style, twisting and turning. I think it was Chris Higgins.
Aye.
That he made do the hokey cokey this time and curled it in with his left foot of all things, a left-footed goodie finish. Lovely goal, but yeah, it was very much just a consolation. Right after, Ross Cunningham probably should have added a wee bit of gloss.
That's the thing,
if it's the phrase to the scoreline.
It's very fine. It's fine margins though, because you I know it's all ifs and ands, and I'm not wanting to sound like sour grapes, but the chance of the penalty, which we've talked about, would have put it as a goal, gave you a right good chance of a goal. Then you'd go to score in the last few minutes. Then you'd Ross missing that great chance. You know, there's not a lot between the teams. I know we didn't have a great performance, but there wasn't an awful lot between them when you look at things like that. And Craig Howie, I thought, was excellent during the game. I thought he actually stepped out for the defence a lot more than I've seen him doing. I thought he was excellent. And the young guys that came on, I mean, the last 5 minutes was our best of the whole match. And you brought on 2 young guys for the last 5 minutes, or in that last time, you know. So there is positives there, but I'm clutching at straws a wee bit, guys. Help me.
Yeah,
no, there's definitely positives from it. I mean, the young guys that came on, they looked really into the game. They looked hungry, as they should be.
Yeah.
So going forward, that's good to see. We went through the game. We created some chances. It's better than none. I'm trying to pick out all the positives here. Yeah, Goody, continues scoring, which is something that we all love to see. And Ross Cunningham, for me, maybe didn't have his best game in a Clyde jersey, but he remains a threat when you get the ball to him. So we've got the players there, which kind of brings me on to Robin's comment in the comment section that we don't have the money to compete, and it's going to be a nail-biting finish at the end of the season with Forth and Dumbarton. Do you think money is an issue with the players? For me, I think the squad that we've got should be staying up. It's just maybe a few things that aren't working that we could iron out, like silly wee mistakes at the back.
Sorry, on you go.
Sorry, Craig, on you go.
I was going to say, well, Murray said it last week as well, didn't he? He believes in the squad that he's got, and the boys that have come in and loaned from Rangers and now Celtic and St Mirren, they're all there on merit. They're all those clubs on merit because they're good football players. So hopefully it'll work for us.
Yeah, and it's good to see we've utilised the loan system as well, because obviously it's the increased amount of loans we've got this season. Mm-hmm. So that kind of takes away any of the money aspect, and we can fill out the squad with decent quality, hungry guys. So
yeah, I think that there has been fears within the fans. I think it's perfectly fair to address them, and there was maybe a worry that we were going quantity over quality. Do you feel there's much merit in that, Craig, or do we have to trust in Danny and Alan that they will get the best out of these boys and the quality will be there, as you touched upon?
I don't think Danny would take them on if he didn't think they were good enough. Yeah, they're young and they're inexperienced, but they've got to get experience somewhere. We've just got to hope that when they're on, they do it and they do it well and they pick up the pace really quickly. I thought Markey that came on in the second half, I thought he done really well at right back. He looked decent. He didn't look out of place at all. And the other two boys, I can't remember their names, Kane and Zach.
Yeah.
They done fine. It's.
Unfortunately, we were chasing the game, so it's
but that time
difficult
it was done.
To be
Yeah. I like the look of Kane when he came on. He looked quite strong and a positive runner. So
definitely
that could be something that will work in our advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so that concludes our 22 minutes of therapy, gentlemen.
Feels good.
Are we all right after that?
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Just noticed we've got a Brora supporter joining us tonight, Alan Nolan, Morna Brora.
Great result.
I have to say, congratulations to all
superb.
at the club. What a result that was for them defeating Hearts. It goes up there as one of the biggest cup shocks, but I'm sure we all know which is.
Yeah.
So, next time. Sorry, lads. So we were on our travels midweek in Scottish Cup duty for our long-awaited or overdue cup tie with Keith. Thankfully, a much more positive result.
Yep.
And it's fair to say a more positive performance, Boise.
Yeah, it was a good professional performance. I mentioned a clean sheet. I was a bit gutted myself. I've always wanted to go up to Keith in the cup, and we get drawn with them at this stage where we can't go. So it's a bit annoying in that aspect, but what can you do? Yeah, going on Martin's comment about the boy from Celtic, he doesn't think he will be a solid left back in the league. I disagree with that. From what I've seen in one game, I think he looked really good. I think he looked composed and passed the ball really well. And Ewan Otu. So yeah, I thought he looked good. I actually thought he scored our second goal, which we'll probably touch on in a minute, Paul. But yeah, I was having problems with my stream.
And your eyes, apparently.
My eyes, apparently.
I thought he looked good as well. I thought when I saw the pictures on, I hadn't heard of the boy. No disrespect to him, I hadn't heard of him at all. But when I saw the pictures getting posted on the website and on Twitter, I thought, geez, he looks about 13. But when you seen him warming up on the stream before the game, he looks a big lad. Straight away, I thought, he's a big boy. And I thought he'd done excellent. So he looked really, really positive.
Man of the match as well.
Yeah. Looked good defensively, but I thought he looked good going down that line as well. So.
Yeah, very, very good use of the ball. Especially, I thought, in the first half. We were getting a lot of joy with the attacks. He was linking up well with Ali on the left-hand side. So yeah, on that, obviously you touched upon UNO2 getting his debut, just signing the day before, I believe, from Celtic. That was one of 5 changes to the starting lineup from the East Fife game, including Jamie Bain, Scott Rumsby, Kevin Nicol, and a fit again, Ali Love. How did you think the lineup and the shape worked or didn't work, Craig, on the night? Were you relatively happy with it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good the other guys are getting in. So it's mixing it up. My only concern, I have to admit, when we went 2-0 up, I thought, right, half time, just pull Goody off, get Goody off and protect him a wee bit, but it wasn't for it. But no, I thought it was good. They were positive. They were at them right for the off, and no disrespect to Keith, so we should have been. Difficult pitch, but no, much better.
Yeah, boys, what about yourself? Did you think, were you happy with the starting lineup? Were there any surprises for yourself, or could you make sense of why the changes had been made?
No, to be honest, like the schedule's going to be mad in the next few weeks, and I think the rotation was always going to be there, so I wasn't really surprised to see some players coming in. The likes of Jamie Bain and Ali Love, they're starters for me every week, so it was good to see them coming in. One thing I did like about UNO2 was that he linked up quite well down the left-hand side with Ali, and that is just an energetic left-hand side. Let's be honest. And I liked about Ewan as well. He looked to receive the ball quite a lot, wanted it, and made smart choices and passed it, which is what we want from our fullbacks going forward. So I think him and Jamie Bain could be really good for us. Hopefully with some more match fitness and stuff. As mentioned before, I think the Howie Rumsby partnership worked really well. Again, no disrespect to Keith, but a clean sheet is something that we should have gotten anyway. But I thought that Howie looked quite good. Mazing his way out of defence as he does. Paul, what did you think about the formation and stuff?
Yeah, I didn't actually disagree with any of the changes. I thought it made sense. I think bringing Kevin Nicol back in, we were maybe thinking, maybe a bit of a scrap might not be the best terminology when you're bringing Kevin Nicol into the fold, because he might take it literally. But getting Kevin Nicol in for that experience, and yeah, for if it does get into a wee bit of a what was it Danny called? Was it knockdown football and all that kind of thing? Yeah. Kevin Nicol's good. He's a sleeves up kind of guy. He'll just get in about it, sometimes over enthusiastically. Even
he got his card, didn't he?
He did get his card. He gets more cards than Santa, that guy. It's insane.
1 to 25 on Betfred for a yellow.
Bet responsibly, please. So yeah, no, I was happy enough with it, and it did work. We were relatively untested, especially in the first half, but I will flip that and say that I think that was because we started on the front foot and we kept our foot down. Before we scored, we had at least one, if not two, really good chances. The one where Goody went through, I think it took a bobble. I'm sure we'll come to talk about your second half miss, where we'll say it took a bobble. Not certain it did. Ahead of the goal. Sorry, boys, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say it was a big bobble if it was a bobble.
Yeah. If he's watching, we'll say it's a bobble. The Goody's goal, probably similarities to his goal against East Fife. Down the right-hand side, he got quite a lot of joy. Did you like the goal, Goody's goal, boys? Say, was it just what you expect from him these days?
It's just what I expect from him. He's just a phenomenon, isn't it? Yeah, getting the ball and driving at players is what you expect, and I like the wee CR7 chop. That was nice to see. Should be on Soccer AM. But yeah, just minced the boy inside out, and I think the keeper should maybe save it. But get the rub of the green, and it's a goal, and we're 1-up. So an early goal to settle any sort of nerves for a potential banana skin in the cup. It's always good.
Too right.
Yeah,
Too right.
confidence is fragile, Craig. I think it's good to get that goal, especially in the first half. Just calm any nerves and then just kind of push on from there.
Absolutely. I think the two things for me, and it sounds very, very basic, but we scored goals and we didn't let any in. You know, that's the two massive, massive things that we had to do that night, and we done it. You know, they needed that. Mitch needed the clean sheet just as much as Goody and up the other end needed the goals. You know, and that to me was fine, as you say, very professional performance. Get through what could have been a tricky tie.
Yeah, and we'll come on to it. I'm sure Boyce's been waiting half an hour to talk about this moment, despite his denial on at the time that it was even the man that scored the goal. Scott Rumsby made John Boyce the happiest man in the Central Belt of Scotland as he put Clyde 2 up with his first goal of the season. Boyce, have you came off cloud 9 yet?
Well, I'm just off sending an email to FIFA to put it through for the Puskas Award. To be honest, no, you know, at the time, I thought it was another player. I couldn't see the stream, but what I did see was a fantastic ball into the box. We've just came out for a corner. You know, he's onside and he takes the ball down beautifully and finishes superbly. So yeah,
is that just another way of saying he tackled the goalkeeper?
Don't you bring this goal down, Paul?
Right,
no,
so it was a Dennis Bergkamp-esque control and finish. We'll go with that then, right?
Absolutely. But no, in all seriousness, like it's a good finish. You know, you want your centre backs to kind of stay active when the ball comes out from a set piece. I'm sure they work on that in training, and it's worked to their advantage here. So yeah, great goal.
Yeah, and it was probably game over at that point, provided we didn't do anything silly. Second half, they did break into the box. They had quite a gilt-edged chance that they probably should have taken. Thankfully, they didn't. Blazed it wide. Thereafter, it was pretty much one-way traffic, and realistically, we should have scored at least another 2 or 3.
Yep.
Craig, would that be your only frustration?
Definitely, yeah. I think, as I said before, I think my concern was getting injuries, and I would have rather seen Goodwillie getting subbed off maybe 60 minutes in, 65 minutes in. But he doesn't want to get subbed off in any game. He wants to go on and play and score goals. But I'm just want to get him in a bit of cotton wool and keep him for Saturday. But no, that was my only frustration. We could have finished that game. I'm not going to say easily, but we could have had 4 or 5 goals in that game.
Yeah, I think Robin's agreeing with you in the comments there, Craig. He's saying they thought that we were slightly wasteful on Tuesday night, and thankfully we got the goals early enough.
Yeah,
I think everyone would agree with that.
Yeah, it was just good to get back to winning ways again. That was the main thing.
Yeah, I think there's that confidence aspect as well. You know, it's a professional performance, it's a win, and me and Paul were having the conversation during the game. You know, I wanted Goody off as well, but Paul brought up the argument of, well, you know, Goody probably wants to keep match fit, and the more we play him, the better, because he's a machine, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think if you're trying to sub Goody off, you're going to have to do it kicking and screaming. He's not going to come quietly, because he's a winner. He wants to score goals.
Absolutely.
And if that ever changes, then you'll never. It's not the same player. Mm-hmm. That's what makes him what he is for us. Dom is confirming. We'll just touch upon this. One of the chances that we did create where Goody was through, one of them the keeper. He sends him to the deck, and you're thinking, there we go. Nice, easy. Just tuck it in. Did he try and chip it? Dom is saying that there was a bobble for this Goody's chance in the second half. Are we going to give him the benefit of the doubt, or was it a howler?
I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt, but it was howler.
I know there was some interest in heckling after it that picked up in the stream, I think, from the dugouts. But yeah, I think if it did take a bobble, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Thankfully, it wasn't to be an issue anyway. We did have the first half goals to sit on. As far as man of the match, I think we did mention earlier, young Ewan probably one of the standouts. Craig Howie was very good as well, and obviously Goody up top kept going, and obviously could have had probably 3 or 4 himself. But yeah, we'd be in agreement. You and O2 is the man of the match.
So. I think getting back to the starting lineup, that was the only surprise for me that the young lad started the game. But absolutely well deserved the man of the match as far as I'm concerned. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Now with the rotational nature of what we're going to have to do in the next few games, if you're picking your strongest 11, is you and O2 your left back?
Oh, Paul, that's over to you.
It's Mark McLaughlin at left back, boys. No, yeah.
Bring him in. There's that experience that we need there.
Yeah, I mean, he's 46 now, 47, but he probably would still do it. You know how good he is. No, I would have him there. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to drop him after Tuesday. It will be a different kettle of fish against Montrose, which we'll be coming to very shortly. It will be a big challenge for him, but let's see what the boy's made of. I think there's a real good player in there, and I'm not going to say that it's the same level as Banksy, Scott Banks, when he came to us. And I think when we signed him from Dundee United, it was about the same time of the season. It was very, very late in the transfer window for loans. And I'll hold my hands up. When we signed Scott Banks, I went, what? 17 years old, Dundee United? This is just to make up numbers. But the second you saw that boy in the ball, you went, oh, that's why.
Aye.
I got a similar feeling from Ewan. You can tell that there's a real good pedigree player in there. And we're going to need him. Let's be quite frank about it. We will need him. And we'll need all the other boys. Just looking at the comments, Andy Gray, he's saying that he sees the need to enlarge the squad with the volume of games coming thick and thin. But are we maybe relying on too many young loanies who might not have what it requires to get out what could be a messy dogfight at the wrong end of the table? This is very much a common theme, I think, across the fan base. We all have that fear. But I would say it's very much up to these boys, maybe not to take that as a criticism, but to take it as a challenge. Look at it and go, right, I'm going to prove that this is just the next step in my development. I'm going to make sure that Clyde are sitting 7th or higher in the league and sitting comfortably come the end of 22 matches. Boys, say, do you still have that as an overarching fear, or are you slightly more confident after the last couple of games? Or
yeah, I mean, we'll go back to you and O2 again. I think the fact that he was, wanting the ball and wanting to get involved shows that he believes in himself, and that's why Celtic have shown faith in him to give him a 3-year deal before he's came on loan to us. So I think he's going to be really good for us. On the, should we or should we not look at players that have experience of, dogfights? Can we say we're going to be in a dogfight? It's been one poor performance so far. Looking at the league table, we're just off the teams that have 16 points. There's 4th to 7th are all on 16. It's a very tight middle of the league. If we win a couple of games in hand and get some momentum, we might not be in a dogfight, but that's just my positivity speaking. I'm not kidding myself. This week is a big week. I think if we don't get, a decent amount of points under our belt, I think it could be going that way, even for me. I mentioned earlier, I think, there's been some players in the juniors and, the lowland leagues that might have slipped through our fingers. You look at, Austin obviously going to East Fife with his East Fife connections, but even Paul Payton, going to Airdrie. I would have maybe liked to have seen us go for him, but again, you don't know what's going on in the background. I've just got to trust in what Danny and Alan are saying, which I fully do. And Alan on the show last week, he's put his faith in these young players. So I guess we'll have to just get right behind them and, hope that they're doing what's right for the club, which I feel they probably will be doing.
When you look at how Murray and Danny handled Banksy, they didn't play him every single game, even though the boy was fully fit and what have you. They did rein him in a few games, put him back out a few games, put him on the bench. So they got the best out of him, I think, at the spell that he was with us, and I think they'll do the same with these guys as well. And listen, the boys are going to be decent players. They will be decent players. We're all behind them. They will be.
Yeah, and we really do need them to step up, to stand up and be counted. I think is a new friend of the show, Scoops, created a video for his own channel, but he amended it for the boys coming back last week. And big shout out to Scoops. I'm sure he'll be live 10 p.m. tonight, boys. So get involved. I'm sure you all will. Scoops is calling for the season to be called off because after we get beat last week, his viewing numbers crashed. So, boys, please stick with Scoops. He's a good lad.
That's better to do with Scoops than the team, like.
Scoops he's
going for the playoffs tonight. He's going for the playoffs tonight. So
the direct end playoffs.
The link in the podcast Twitter. Yeah,
absolutely.
The right playoffs. Yeah.
And Clyde and non-Clyde fans alike, join in. It's a good laugh, some good banter. Grab a beer, grab a soft drink if you just come along. It's a really good laugh and
some good football.
Top guy.
It's good fun.
Robbie B, Queen of the South fans, thank you for joining us, Robbie. He's asking, do we think that David Goodwillie will be at Clyde next season? Well, he's under contract at least for another 2 years, I believe. So unless someone's willing to stump up the moolah, and I'm talking 7 figures, I'm not even going to contemplate it.
No. The good he did say he'll be here as long as we want him, didn't he? So he's going to be here. He's about 55, I think.
Him and Mark McLaughlin.
Yeah, and Robbie just follows that up as well, just saying about Banksy. He was a good player at Alloa as well, and I can remember him in a game against Inverness and he ripped them apart. Banksy did that in League Two as well, at just the age of 17. He's doing well down south at Crystal Palace. He's obviously up at Dunfermline on loan at present, but Crystal Palace fans seem to have really taken to him, and good luck to him.
I think he was captain in their under-23s.
He's
incredibly talented. It's very exciting for Scotland going forward as well.
Too right.
Yeah, Banksy for Scotland. Euro 2021 or whatever it's called now. Right, well, we've got 18 minutes left, guys, and we've got 3 matches to cover. Next
9 points.
Starting tomorrow, and it's away to Montrose. In fact, all these matches are away. And I think earlier in the comments, Martin Brun, regular commenter, says that over the next period, we've got 1,110 miles round trips to be made. Now, that is incredible when you think that that's Tuesday, Thursday fixtures thrown in there for part-time teams.
Yep.
And it's been discussed quite at length, I think, not just in amongst Clyde fans, but when you looked at the calendar that was released, the fixture list that the Clyde Twitter account put out, and it was horrific to look at. It was 5 away games in just 12 days.
Yep.
What do you say? How do we actually try and deal with that?
Well, I think we should be chipping in for the team's petrol to give a wee hand for that mileage. That's insane. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have the rotational nature of the squad happen. And I'll tell you what, there's going to be a real positive mindset needed in that team, which we've shown we've had before. So that needs to prevail again, I feel.
So would you be looking to make changes, Boyce, from Tuesday? And if so, where would you be looking to maybe freshen things up?
So I'd maybe freshen things up in the midfield. I maybe don't believe that it's a game for Kevin Nicol, as good a player as he is. I think having that midfield to Cuddihy and Lamont will work well together in there. Montrose, they're physical with a good amount of quick direct talent. But in that midfield, they've got Harry Cochrane and Lewis Milne, who I think Cuddihy and Lamont could have a good battle with. There's not really an out physicality of that there. We've mentioned in the show before, Paul, that Montrose's fullbacks, I think they're excellent. I think Cammy Ballantyne and Andrew Steeves, we've really got to watch them. That was prevalent in their 7-1 win against Nairn during the week. A few of their goals came from the wider areas, so that's something we've definitely got to watch.
That's good to know, isn't it? That Montrose's biggest strength is crossballs.
Yeah.
And our kryptonite is crossballs, so but listen, I might be watching from behind the couch.
hopefully you and Otto can stop some of that. That's positive that we didn't have from East Fife. We've been playing, a centre half out at left back, out of position. So having a natural fullback can only be an advantage, I feel. I think it is going to be difficult because their tails will be up from obviously a 7-1 win. No matter who you play, no disrespect to them, but that's a massive confidence boost, especially with Craig Johnston, who I feel is an excellent striker at this level, scoring the hat-trick. Now, I believe there was a bit of motivation for him from Montrose. I believe they were going to buy him a crate of beer.
I heard that.
If he scored, so I wonder if we're doing the same thing for our players.
I create a mad dog for Ali Love if he wins as a game tomorrow, right?
I've tweeted him, see if he wants an Orange Jubilee crate. I'll
Also, please drink responsibly.
Yeah.
Right. On my toes tonight, guys. I'm on my toes. Robbie, Chris Mockery as well, who's on loan at Montrose. He was very impressive in the match earlier in the season.
I thought Montrose were really good in that game.
Best team I've probably seen us play this season.
They're really technical as well. They look really good.
And
they break quickly.
Yeah, and I don't think I would just be saying that because we did actually win that game 3-2. But we have to look at that and say, well, do you know what? They were really good that day, but we were decent as well.
Yep.
And obviously, Goody got his hat-trick that day. But it wasn't just a one-man show. Sometimes we've had cases in the past where it has just been Goody dragging us through the dark, getting us over the line. But that day, there was enough in the performance across the team to take real heart from. We are going to need that, and dare I say it a wee bit more tomorrow, Craig.
Absolutely. The thing is, for me, you've still got the nucleus of the team. You've still got the majority of the players that were there last year, topped up with the young guys that have coming in on loan and the couple of signings. So, no, I think we should go there with no fear. I think we're all worried. We all know we're worried. We're all kind of concerned after Saturday, but I think we need to go there with a bag of confidence, a bag of just let's get up and get going. Go at them. Be tight at the back, be confident at the back, and break well.
Yeah, absolutely. That front three of Cunningham, Goody, and Love for me. That's a great League One attacking outfit. So I think if all of them are on song, we do something. At the back, gents, who would you have at the back? For me, I would probably start Bain, Rumsby, Howie, and Otto as my back four. Don't know what you guys feel.
I would be expecting Tom to return to the starting lineup. I don't know if he was just rested during the week, maybe just with the fixture list coming up. Hopefully he isn't injured. Might get a wee bit of team news coming in. So yeah, I would be expecting Tom, and I would have Tom back in for this in the hope that he can help deal with the multitude of crosses that we're due to face. Craig, what about yourself?
I would have the three of them. I'd have Rumsby in with Tom and Howie in the middle. And
just play all.
I would probably potentially put Barry at right back and O2 at left back, and have Barry ready to push and O2 ready to push, and have the three in there, just to try and give us that extra bit of solidity at the back. Yeah,
I think for me personally, I think Barry is better right back than he is a central midfielder. There are merits for having him in central midfield, but when you see the promotion season, just how good he was at right back, he was player of the season ahead of the likes of obviously David Goodwillie and all these other guys who were standouts that year. Mm-hmm. For me, I would agree with you, Craig. I would be looking to move Barry into the right back position. So what do we need to do to get over the line tomorrow? What's the key to the key battle?
Keep it simple. Score more than they do. That's it.
Right, somebody get Danny on the phone.
Danny, that's it. No, you're right. We first of all, we need to look to stop any cross balls that are coming. But the cross balls, as you said, boys, are going to come for their wing backs pushing forward. So do we look as that a tactic to stop them getting forward first, stop the cross ball if it does come, and then win that 1-to-1 battle? We've got a goalkeeper that is the best, in my opinion, in the league. On his day, he's superb. So the back three, back five, whatever we do, whatever we play, have to have confidence and belief in him at the back of them, and he will marshal them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's the best keeper in the league for me.
Yep.
Going on what you had said about Cudahy going to right back, the reason I had him in midfield was because Montrose's midfield is, it's very quick. It gets its passes out, and I feel Lamont and Cudahy bring that energy into the middle that we sorely need, in my opinion. There, if Cudahy's going to right back for you guys, who replaces him? Who would you have in the middle? Because I feel that's a key area that we need to win tomorrow.
So Michael McGlinchey will be available again. He was cup tied during the week. Unfortunately, he played for Queen's Park in the earlier round. So Michael McGlinchey should obviously be fresh. So he would be my obvious pick. And looking for that wee bit of experience in around the younger guys. What about yourself, Craig?
No, I agree. I think he will start wherever he possibly can. And again, I would expect him not to last the full 90 just yet, but yeah, I would expect him to start in there as well.
Okay, so that's Saturday dealt with. There's still another 2 to cover. On Tuesday, we make yet another journey up north. We're looking at another 3-hour journey and a 3-hour journey back to face Peterhead. It's not a happy hunting ground for us, is it, chaps? 1 league victory there since Peterhead came into the league. That was only a few years ago with late Ali Love and Mark Lamont goals getting us a 2-1 victory. What are we expecting? Peterhead have recently beat Airdrie 1-0, I believe, albeit against 10 men, but still, you've got to beat them. Is it much like the game earlier this year? Do we expect the same? Peterhead, they don't really kind of change the way they play. You know what to expect. We just don't seem to deal with it very well, do we?
No, we don't. I mean, they don't have McAllister or Lyle anymore, which is good from their attacking front because they always kind of put us to the sword. You had mentioned not happy hunting grounds. That one game probably made up for the rest of them. What a memory that is. That's the debatable quote there. But yeah, I think it's much of the same. It's going to be a physical game. Can we finally succeed against it with the players that we've brought in? Would you bring in Kevin Nicol for that midfield battle? We're going to have to do something. These are the games we need to win this season.
It's one of those ones that Danny said we seem to play well against the teams that want to play football and not so well against the ones that want to put it over our head. So
agreed. Yeah.
That's set up to be one of those ones. No disrespect to Peterhead, they play their game and they do very, very well out it. And they've put us to the sword enough through it. We need to be ready. We need to be ready for that type of football. If that's what we're going to have to face, that's the punches we need to take. We need to give it back the same way.
Yeah, and I think we really need to get into this mindset. I say we as if we're players here, but like we can make that much of a difference. But I think if we play our game, it shouldn't really matter what anyone else does.
Yep.
If we play our game to the best of our ability, that's all we can really ask. Scoops, there we go. Easy 3-0 Clyde win tomorrow. Then playoff party on Saturday night. There we go.
That's it. That's what we need.
Robin, must winnable game this week. I think Peterhead, that is. Looking at the fixture list, Peterhead on paper is the more favourable, boys.
Yeah, no, they're in and about us as well. We're 3 games in hand to Peterhead, I believe. So a win over them would be very advantageous for Ames this season. Peterhead, as you've mentioned, it's always a difficult place to go to. I'm just hoping we can come away with a point or 3 points. Something to. My aims for this week are we'll steady the ship. I think we definitely need to pick up points. I would love a win in the league this week. That goes without saying, but if there's a win, a loss, and a draw, I think I would maybe take that just now with some good performances. Yeah,
the balance is going to be key. Is to mixing up the starting lineup, using the bigger squad that we have with these 6 loanees that we have. By Thursday, hopefully we're riding the crest of a wave with 3 points. down from Aberdeenshire, but we're heading back up, not as far north this time, but to the Kingdom of Fife to play East Fife. A lot of things to learn from, obviously, last weekend against them. This game is probably going to be the toughest of the lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the basis that we'll have just played 180 minutes of football.
Yep.
Just over the previous 4 and a bit days. It's really, really brutal. I don't think we can emphasise that enough. Come Thursday, are you expecting to see near enough a full-scale change to the starting 11, Boise?
It's difficult to say, Paul. I mean, it's really an unprecedented amount of fixtures that we've got, so it's
I hate that word
to call.
I hate it.
I
hear that word
30
more
times.
Honestly.
That's where we are.
No, it's true. Very true.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be really difficult. Obviously, the rotation has to happen, as I've said throughout this podcast. It's just going to be tough. Like, I just hope we can keep a positive mindset and have that mentality to go and challenge teams and push our way up a very tight league. And I think the most important thing for me is we've got to make the most of our games in hand. And if we don't, we're going to be in a really perilous position.
The one thing about the East Fife game, everybody that was playing on Saturday there will want to do better and will want to prove they can do better against that same side. So I think that although fitness, fatigue and tiredness, heavy legs will come into it, I think they'll be well up for that one.
I think other teams will be in the same boat as well. I mean, we do have a massive fixture backlog, but the other teams are the same. You know, it's definitely going to be a weekend and midweek fixtures, maybe 2 midweek fixtures for us is, cutting it a bit. But yeah, I'd like to think that the other teams aren't going to be, ridiculously fresh for playing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Cove Rangers, their cup tie has been moved to Sunday evening. I think they're playing Rangers in the next round of the Scottish Cup, and we are actually due to play them on the Tuesday night at Broadwood. And I quite sadistically felt happy seeing that they're only going to be 2 days apart from playing us and Rangers, because I thought at least someone else is finally in the same boat as us. And I do hope that those around the squad are using this as a motivation. Give it maybe a wee bit of chip in the shoulder. We feel maybe touch hard done by. Let's use it to our advantage. Let's use it to kick on. Sometimes adversity can bring out the best in footballers and football clubs. And by God, we really need it to. As Boise said, we don't want to get cut adrift. Going ahead into next week, after the Air Cup game, we've got maybe a run of more favourable fixtures, shall we say, and it's more teams around us, and these are going to be massive, massive games.
Yeah, just touching on the Cup games, Paul, with us and the Cove Rangers example you've mentioned, I wonder if teams will obviously prioritise the league over the Cups. I mean, I saw a comment earlier on asking what we thought about, the Air game and whether we will put out a full squad. For me, it depends on how we get on in our next few league games. If we're doing all right and we've won a couple and gotten some points, I think a progress in the Cup would be good, money-wise. If we've not picked up many points at all, I'm sorry, scrap that Cup game, And maybe Cove Rangers versus Rangers, that's an interesting dynamic, because if Cove maybe rest too many players, Rangers might put 7 or 8 past them. You just don't know. What's the word for it, Paul? It's unprecedented.
He's off the show next week. Conscious of time, Robbie, just very briefly on your question about Palmerston. The last 2 times I think Clyde have visited Palmerston, we've conceded combined 11 goals. So we do visit. Sadly, it's never a particularly happy hunting ground for us. So yeah, we'll move past that.
So it's a good away day sitting next to the river.
Definitely.
Always enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's a great ground. Palmerston, smashing ground. So
good fans too. Good fans as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Robbie, and please do come back. Scoops, back to basics and grind out results. Yep. That's it.
That's it in a nutshell.
And starting tomorrow, let's hope that that's the case. Just before we finish up, just want to do a quick shout out to Dean McCurdy, one of the regular contributors to the show. He's going through a bit of a hard time. Quite recently, he's lost one of his good mates. So just let you know, Dean, we are thinking of you, and hopefully get you back on the podcast soon, mate.
Absolutely.
So, gentlemen, been a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for giving us your thoughts. It feels weird us talking for the full hour and not having crazy guys like Alan Moore.
Hopefully we get positive feedback from it.
Yeah, hopefully
if they watched.
Hope you did enjoy it, guys.
Yeah, just wanted to say a few wee things before you finish up, Paul. So for anyone wanting to watch the game tomorrow, Montrose are having the stream of it on their Pixelot service for £12.50, so extra 50 pence over Clyde. And programmes for the game can be ordered through their office sales. So I've retweeted that on the podcast account for anyone that wants a programme. I believe they're physical copies that have been sent out. So that's a nice wee kind of...
For all your collectors out there.
Yep. And yeah, that's all I've got.
And while you're at it, make sure you go onto the Clyde website and subscribe to the Clyde View as well. Is what you were wanting to finish that on, Boise. Am I right?
That's it. I was leaving that to you, Paul. Leaving that.
Cracking photographs in there.
Aye, and a cracking article, page 9.
An alright call.
Listen, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for getting involved and for watching. Join us again next week where we will cover the... How many matches was it again, gents? 7, 8?
27.
Lost count.
I know.
For the many matches that Clyde Football Club are due to contest over the next week, and hopefully this time next week we're looking at 9 points. We're all talking about the playoffs at the other end. Or at least,
good luck to all the lads tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, boys. All the best. And until next time, come on the Billy Wee.
On a Clyde.